Hey, so in this video I want to talk about something that is relevant in all walks of life, and that is how we deal with failure. And before I start this video, I want to say I'm a proud failure. The reason being is, it's not because I go and try and fail at everything I do. Far from it. I'm quite competitive, I'm ambitious, and I like to achieve a lot in life, like everyone. But I know that failure has been a direct contributor to all the successes that I have had in life and that I will have going forward too. And I think it's the way that we deal with failure really helps us grow, develop and get better over time. And saying that as well, I think there's three different types of failures. There's embracing failure. I should say three different types of ways that we deal with failure, and that is embracing failure, accepting failure and fearing failure. Embracing failure is looking at a task and knowing, right, okay, there's going to be a few bumps, there's going to be a few failures along the way, but we crack on and do it. And every setback we have along the experience is an opportunity for us to, step back, learn, grow and develop. For example, with this video, or with this vlogging as well, it takes ages to do these videos. But you always step back, you always look at the video as well and think, right, okay, what can you do better? The next is then fearing failure. This is looking at a task and thinking, right, okay, we're facing an uphill battle here. This is going to be tricky. And then just talking your way out of the task and not taking action. And then there's accepting failure, where you go, you do a task, you get halfway through the action, it gets a bit tough, and then you're like, no, this is not for me. You give up. An example of this, and I do this as well, where, for example, we can be on a diet, and it goes well all through the week. Then it comes to Friday and we have a cheat meal and we're like, we give up. Oh, we had one bad day, I'm not going to diet anymore. I think fearing and accepting failure is the main reason that we don't achieve what we want to achieve in life. It stops us from really stepping outside our comfort zone or reaching our full potential. The reason being is, it can lead to avoidance, where we avoid doing tasks because the fear of failure just stops us from taking action. It can lead to self-doubt as well, where we underestimate our own abilities and really talk ourselves out of taking action as well. It can lead to perfectionism, where we want to do something so good and so perfect at the very get-go that we think to ourselves, I'm not going to get this right in the first time. We fear failure and then we don't try it. Therefore we don't achieve anything. And then the final one is, we let what other people think about us and talk about us get to us too. We always fear of being perceived a failure or being embarrassed in ourselves, and I think that's a lot of the reasons why people, including myself, don't go and try to start something new. I see this a lot when it comes to fitness as well, where, and I do this too, people don't want to go out and train because they feel, or they talk themselves out of saying, oh yeah, I can't do this, I'm a failure, I won't be able to run 5k or 1k or whatever it may be. Or they don't want to go to gyms because they fear they're going to embarrass themselves because they might not know what to do. I think in a lot of cases like this, the hardest bit is getting started, and what we think in our heads is completely different to the actual reality of doing the task. And I'll take you through a story of kind of where I felt that experience when I was a bit younger, and one of the biggest experiences in my life that helped me look at failure in a different way to the way I was looking at it before. So as a child, I was naturally really shy, really hesitant to try anything. Even in school, I hated reading in front of the class because I always feared that people would laugh at me if I got a word wrong, or never wanted to change the bike tire on my wheel as well, because I always feel I'd get it wrong and I'd beat myself up out of this. But that all changed when I was about 14. And I was going through a bit of a phase where I was listening to a bit of rock music. I was a bit of a rocker, let's be honest about it. But loved Guns N' Roses at that point in time, and I was thinking, right, okay, I'd love to play guitar. But I always was like, do I really want to play? Do I want to be called a rocker? Do we want to be called a hippie? And all the names that come with that. And I said, you know what, I'll go for it. It was around my birthday, so we got a guitar for my birthday and I started playing. And at the start, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. The reason being was, it was so hard to play. It was so hard to get used to the chords. My fingers were in bits from the strings, they were absolutely gushing with blood, and the imprints of the strings were on my fingers as well, which was sore, I'm not gonna lie. And then you had people call me a rocker or a hippie. Oh, what are you learning how to play guitar for? Look at you. And it was tough, I'm not gonna lie. But I cracked on and I kept playing and kept practicing, and gradually over time I started getting better. I went from literally learning the chords then to songs, then to solos, then to full pieces of music. And obviously I'm not a guitarist now, I didn't follow through with this, but what I learned from this was how to deal with failure. You know, was how to look at this setback and say, right, okay, I'm not giving up here, let's step back, what can we learn from this experience? Or these may be saying this over here, I don't care, I'm gonna crack on with this anyway, this is something I want to do. And ever since then, I'm after failing at so many other things. I've failed at being a rapper, don't even ask about this. Failed up at setting up my own shop, running my own digital marketing business, setting up an e-commerce store. There's loads of things I failed at, but each one of them failures has given me valuable life lessons and experience. And from these experiences as well, I have a few tips that I learned for embracing failure, and it's up to you whether you take them or leave them or not. But the first one is, don't be afraid to try something new. If you have the urge to do something, or you really want to do something and it doesn't affect your health, your finances, not too much, and then your family as well, go do it. You know, at the start of any new venture that we want to do, we're always going to have them self-limiting beliefs and thinking, what if this, what if that, what if they think this, what if they think that. So what? If you want to do something and you want to try something new, do it. Because what you manifest in your head will be completely different, I guarantee you, to the actual experience of doing the task. And take this for example. I came up with this idea one day where I wanted to start a vlog and do blogs and kind of post content. And I was always thinking, what if this, what if that, what if I get a word wrong, or what if I stumble on the camera, which I do. But that's life, you learn from it. But the actual experience of doing this is completely different to what I thought it would be. It's a lot more enjoyable, and it's liberating as well to just do this without not caring about failure, or not caring what other people think about, what they say about the videos as well. And then the next tip is to start small. When you want to do something or start a new hobby or wherever, it's always good to start small. And I don't mean kind of dip your toes in and see if you like it. I kind of do. But I mean, start off with baby steps. Take one step at a time and don't dive right in. The reason being is it's less overwhelming, and it gives you time then to learn and adapt. And again, with these videos, another example is I started these videos not knowing or having a clue about vlogging or video editing, and I still don't, but I'm getting there. But from doing the first video, I learned so much about lighting, the audio, about video editing itself, the storyboarding, the flow. You learn so much from just actually taking one step. And I say it in a way that if you take one step, you just start to unravel the journey that's ahead of you. You start knowing what direction you need to go in, what lessons you need to learn, what you need to upskill on, and essentially what actions you need to do to get from where you are now to where you want to be. And then the next tip, which I'm going to break down into two parts, is create an environment where it's okay to fail. And the two elements of this is creating a scenario, or you can call it an environment as well, where you have the guardrails up and it's okay to make mistakes and fail. An example of this, like you see football teams, they have practice during the week, or sports teams, they do practice. The reason being is that one, they obviously want to get better at practice, but they want to create an environment where they can make mistakes, try out new things, where it's not match day, where if they actually fail with this or it's a mess up, there's no repercussions. And a lot of businesses do this as well, where they have different innovation teams or different sandbox labs or R&D departments where they can go and experiment and it doesn't affect the business. And I think we need to do this in our life as well, where we create an environment or scenario where we can go and try new things and fail. And then the second part of this is creating a culture where it's okay to fail. And I'm going to relate this back to see if you've ever been in a situation before where you felt so much pressure to succeed, that's nearly overwhelming. This is a lot of the cases when it comes to jobs or when it comes to sports performance or wherever. And a lot of this is self-inflicted, and I do this too. But I think we have to create a culture of failure where there's no really repercussions or punishment for failure, and the psychological safety as well, and kind of a blameless culture that if someone makes a mistake, whether it be a group setting or an individual setting, it doesn't matter. We look at this experience and we learn from it, and we don't go blaming each other for any mistakes that previously happened in the past. And this is something that I try to take into parenthood as well with Maisie. So obviously priority number 1 is her health, number 2 is her happiness, but number 3 is getting her to try new things and not fearing failure. And examples of this is, for example, if she's on her bike, you know, cycling and not fearing falling, or if she's having dinner and she cleans up afterwards, going to do this and not fearing making a mess when she's scraping off her plate or things like that. And to be quite honest, I'd rather her try things and then fail miserably than not try them at all. Where's the learning in that? And then the next tip is to enter with an open mind and willingness to learn. Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I think that is completely relevant in this case. That, say for example, if we're going into a task or setting up a new business or wherever it may be, we can do all the planning in the world to preempt what might and might not happen. But until we're in that actual experience, we're not going to experience all the different things that could go wrong. And I think in them situations we have to enter with an open mind and say, right, okay, failures are probably going to happen, but we're going to learn from them anyway. We're going to try look at these in a logical way and think, right, okay, why did this happen? What can we do to solve? And how could we prevent this over time? And I think there's nearly 2 elements to this as well, where there's going to be them situations where you learn from the experience, but I think it's super essential as well to always get the perspective and feedback from different people, and people who are a lot more experienced in this field than you. For example, if you're setting up a new business and something goes wrong, you can always try to learn from that experience, or you can ask someone who has been in that particular business for a bit longer how they dealt with that problem or how they would tackle that situation, and you might get a different perspective, a more valuable perspective to what you were thinking already. And I think the last tip then is really just to enjoy the process. When we try something new, a new hobby, a new skill, wherever it may be, it's going to be super frustrating at the start. But I think we just have to enjoy the process. There's going to be a lot of learning at the start, and as we get better and better at the skill or whatever we're going to do, it's going to become a lot more enjoyable and a lot more fluid as well. And I just think we have to enjoy the process. And when I say enjoy the process as well, it's thinking about not fearing failure and not thinking about what other people think as well. And when we do this, and I can safely say I do this now, it's absolutely liberating. You know, there's no burden or expectation of what people think or trying to hit that standard. You just go with the flow, and the outcome is the outcome. You just control the process, and then therefore you enjoy the process. So yeah, they're my tips for embracing failure and making the most out of failure. And I know this video is a bit different to the normal kind of content I was doing about the high rocks and the running, but I think this is absolutely essential when it comes to mindset, not just for fitness. You know, like this really helps us build resilience, which is super essential when it comes to trying to keep consistent when you're training. It builds up adaptability as well, that when stuff goes wrong, you just have that ability to kind of pivot, look at this in a subjective way and think, right, okay, how can we handle this situation? And I think that applies to so many areas of sport and in life. So yeah, if you liked this video, brilliant, give me a thumbs up or whatever. If you didn't, let me know your feedback as well. Willing to learn from what you think. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one.